Welcome to the Fast Break. We're your hosts, Ari Betterly, Ryan Costello, and Sam Elster. And we're ready for a great episode today. So much to catch up on. So let's just dive in. First topic we have of the week, you guys, is talking about Indiana women's basketball facing Butler. Now, I'll just start this one off. It was a very, very ugly loss to Butler, 56-46. Indiana traveled to Hinkle. It was something we didn't really expect when we talked about this last week, but overall, it was a very rough game. The offense was pretty much non-existent. Turned it over twice in 90 seconds. Didn't score for 5 minutes down the stretch. Yeah, 8 of 27 shooting, 29.6%. So there's just a lot of different flaws that were in Indiana's way, and they knew that. It was a very emotional press conference with Terry Morin and Sydney Parrish, and they mostly just talked about how they know this isn't their team. They're not going to get caught up in this part of the season. They've only had 3 games under their belt, and Sydney Parrish kept being like, no, it's only 3 games in. We're going to come back from this. So what were you guys' thoughts about, some of the things I just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, like, when I was watching the game, it definitely was very evident that a player like Sydney Parrish, she really couldn't find her rhythm that night, which I think really made the whole Indiana offense struggle a lot. And I don't think this was the beginning of the season that anyone kind of expected, especially the team. But I think that the way that they have, kind of tried to, like, steer away from hitting the panic button so far has been pretty good, considering that a lot of teams could freak out early on in the season, but they're not freaking out just yet.
I think the media and maybe even the team themselves maybe didn't expect how much of an impact not having Sarah Scalia and Mackenzie Holmes would be. And I think we're just kind of seeing that in the couple games and missing their presence and not having that go-to scorer to throw the ball into. But I think these first couple games and these 2 losses have been good learning lessons for them and really giving them a good reality check. And they've just not really been playing the Indiana brand of basketball that we've been used to the last couple of years, playing sloppy, a bunch of turnovers. So I think, like they said, there's no reason to hit the panic button. These are good lessons that they can take with them the rest of the season.
I agree. And, those 22.5 averaging turnovers in these couple of games and then 26 against Harvard, that's just not the Indiana team, nor is it the team they want to be, like you guys said. So with that being said, Indiana turned things around. Let's move on to Stanford, a much happier note. Indiana kind of took that loss and quite literally bounced back only a couple days after this really tough loss to Butler, and just looked like a completely different team and kind of went back to that Indiana brand of basketball. So, Sam, you were at the game with me. Let's chat about
I mean, Terry Morin said they didn't take a day off after the Butler game. They had that film session where they literally just sat there and watched the entire Butler game, and they just picked apart everything that they did incorrectly. But a big part of the reason why they won that game was Chloe Moore-McNeil stepping up. I mean, she had 4 steals, 21 points, I'm pretty sure, and, I mean, she just played phenomenal. And even with Sydney Parrish having a little bit of a quieter game, having at least one of those co-captains, the graduate students, I think really helped a lot. And I mean, we also saw a lot out of Shea Chesky finally getting out of her shell a little bit, scoring some baskets. But I think overall their energy was just completely different. And I think that it was finally the team that we were expecting to see, that, that seamless transition. Like, they really looked like they were phenomenal. But, I mean, now we'll just have to see how they continue this off that high.
Yeah, and I agree. Even highlighting Jules Lamandola, who brought lots of defense. Terry Morin even noted in the press conference and how she was boxing out coming off the bench for Indiana. They didn't really even have somebody besides the starting lineup and Strickland to really come into the game and help out. So even players like Jules stepping up has really helped Indiana. And then Yarden Garzone also with 4 3-point shots in that game. She also has been kind of a leader in that sense with scoring and 3-point shooting. So I'm just glad that they all kind of got back to who they knew they were. And even Yarden said in the press conferences, losing sucks.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. And we know that we're better than that. So to turn around and come back and, they wanted to fight for it and win. And Terry Morin even said in the press conference also that, they were angry when they came out on the court. And that might have been a good thing for them to be even more motivated.
Yeah.
So
definitely a different press conference than we've had for the past couple of games.
I would agree. That's definitely a brighter note and a little more motivative of a note than these last couple of press conferences have left us. So, yeah.
I also think winning builds really good confidence, and especially before going to the Bahamas to play in a tournament that has a bunch of talented teams. This is something they kind of needed to be able to get on the court and not have to overthink about everything. Because I feel like when you have a lot of losses or in life, when you mess up things, you overthink too much. And now with that win and beating a good team like Stanford, I think we'll be really confident going down to the Bahamas this weekend.
Yeah. So, Ryan, you brought up the Bahamas, so why don't we talk about it? Indiana's traveling to battle for Atlantis this weekend. And, Ryan, why don't you just kick us off with what do you think this weekend's going to be like?
So Indiana's only determined matchup is against Columbia. There's a couple other teams. They'll play either the winner or loser of the Southern Mississippi and Baylor game. But their first opponent is going to be Columbia, and Columbia has won back-to-back Ivy League regular season titles. And we know the Ivy League well with IU already playing two teams in that league. So it'll be interesting to see how they use that knowledge from those other Ivy League teams they played. And Columbia was picked to finish second, which is above Harvard, who Indiana lost to. So it will be interesting to really see how, if they use some of the film from those games, if the scheming is the same. But yeah.
I just wonder if their momentum from this last game is going to bleed into this weekend. You know, they're on a high. They finally had that chemistry as the team that they've been kind of looking for. And like you said, they're familiar with the Ivy League. So hopefully Terry Morin and, the coaches kind of put together a similar offense and defense to what they catered to Stanford like.
Yeah, and with Indiana coming off a win, Columbia, well, they just lost to Villanova by 1 point, but they'll have one game in between. So let's see. Indiana has more of a break than Columbia, so maybe that could be to their advantage, with the traveling and everything. But, I mean, Columbia also is a very good three-point shooting team, but Indiana saw that out of Stanford, and they held them to just 18% from the perimeter. So that goes back to what you were saying, Ari, to seeing if they will take some of those notes from the Stanford game and seeing if they'll bring that to Harvard and, to Columbia, my bad. And
they're in the same league.
Same league. It's all the same. But they also have guard Riley Weiss averaging 14.5 points per game and leads the team in free throw percentage, 82%. So that'll be a fun matchup to see between probably Shea Chetsky. I would probably see her guarding her, or Claymore McNeil, either way. But it'll be a fun matchup between the guards. A lot of their guards on Columbia's team are pretty good shooters. I mean, since Cecilia Collins shooting 42% from 3-point, I mean, it'll be a fun game to see, but just kind of hope that the Hoosiers come out with the same energy that they came out with at Assembly Hall on Sunday.
I
think someone to look out for with Columbia is Paige Perry, their forward. She leads the team in rebounds at 8.8 per game, and Indiana has had some moments where they've struggled with offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds, so it'll be interesting to see how they go up against her and throwing probably Striplin or Meister at her, but she'll be someone to definitely look out for.
Yeah, I agree. And also this entire bracket of competitors should be interesting. If they win this game, which hopefully they do, they'll either play Southern Mississippi or number 18th in the country, Baylor. So it could be interesting. Any predictions for that game? Who do you guys think they'll face if they move on?
We could maybe see an upset in Southern Mississippi, but likely I think it'll be Baylor.
And I think if it's Baylor, that's a potentially good quality win that the Hoosiers could get. Baylor's been a dominant force in women's basketball for a very long time, and so is Indiana of the last couple of years. And there's some other good teams in the field, even if they do stumble. North Carolina, Texas A&M, Villanova, teams that have been in the and also Ball State, teams that have been in the field, been in postseason basketball. So just a bunch of other learning experiences.
Totally.
Oh, I didn't even notice another Indiana team's going down.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite fun. I don't think they're on the same side of the bracket, but that would be interesting if they ended up playing Ball State. But yeah, it should be interesting. Any other thoughts before we move on?
I mean, if they make it towards Game 5, winning either Baylor or Southern Mississippi and Columbia, I mean, they could have a chance of seeing North Carolina, who kind of had a close game with UConn. Not really that close, but they kept up with them. So that could be a fun matchup to see. Definitely.
Yeah,
My,
definitely.
my one bone to pick is that the Columbia and the IU game is on Flow Sports. It's not on ESPN,
Yeah.
Fox, or
Yeah.
any of the national networks. So it's a little bit disappointing to see from a women's basketball lover. I wish they were on more of a national platform, but
Agreed.
I agree. I would love to watch them on a a mainstream network, but looks like I'll be downloading that app.
Yeah.
and
luckily
it.
luckily
Well,
my
the-
my dad has a subscription to Flow, so I'm gonna use
The
that.
championships game is on ESPN too, though.
Okay,
So there you go.
there we go.
You'll get that on ESPN.
There you
too.
go. We'll make sure to all watch it together. Too bad we're not going to Atlantis,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they'll all go on the nice slide when they're done playing a game, maybe. Hopefully. Some
Hopefully
team
they do.
bonding, perhaps.
Yeah.
Probably.
Get some rays.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
They deserve it.
They do.
They deserve it.
All right. And now for our fun part of this show, we call it Hot Topics. And I just hit my microphone. Something interesting for you guys to think about is, how do you guys feel Indiana will fare in games against teams like USC and UCLA, who both are coming to Assembly Hall this upcoming season? Or this season.
I think Assembly Hall will definitely help the Hoosiers. They were 5th in the nation in attendance last year, and they are a talented team. But this USC and this UCLA team have a bunch of experience on their team. They've been deep in the NCAA tournament. So right now, I don't know if I can predict a win for the Hoosiers, but I think Assembly Hall will play a big factor.
Yeah, I'm going to say that, the crowd at Assembly Hall is definitely going to be a 6-man for the Indiana Hoosiers. I think a game, either USC and UCLA or either, are going to be very like an environment that was for the Iowa game last year. I think that, I think it'll be a very, very packed, hostile environment for the visiting team. So I think that'll definitely help Indiana a lot. And
Yeah.
I think they'll at least come out with a win in one of them.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think you can guarantee, hopefully, that Indiana's 6-man comes on top,
Yeah.
the fans, and they can secure at least one of these wins at home, just like they did with Iowa a year ago. But I mean, yet again, you don't have a Sarah Scalia or Mackenzie Holmes, but with the way that Shea Shetsky looked and, the way that Yard and Garzone looked from the 3-point line, it could be a different story in a few months. So I definitely am looking forward to those games and actually covering those games. I think it'll be really nice to see, teams from the West Coast come and play, at Assembly Hall. And fun fact, when we were at the Big Ten conference media days, they said that they were really scared to play at Assembly Hall. It's traditional, and even the coaches were excited to come play. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting to see one of the superstars in women's college basketball and Juju Watkins coming to Bloomington. And I feel like she might get some similar treatment that Caitlin Clark got when she came here last year.
Yeah, I mean, she's got to get similar treatment. She needs, it's the same type of level, but, I think that the whole environment of Assembly Hall, we got super lucky that we got both of those teams to be there. Because I think if it was at USC or at UCLA, it'd be a whole different conversation.
It would.
Yeah.
But, it's also good that it's, kind of in the middle of the season, got some other games under the belt. They'll be more experienced by that time. So hopefully they'll come out with at least one win.
I wonder if UCLA and USC will be playing with crowd noise, practicing with that.
Yeah.
That would be
because-
very smart, like a
that's-
football team.
that'd be-
Yes, like the football team.
Yeah.
IU's done that in the past for some of their big games, and I could see USC and UCLA doing that because there's some other schools in the Big Ten that sometimes don't have as big crowds. So I think it'll be one of those. They'll probably do the same thing for Iowa.
Yeah,
If they were smart and they watched Indiana play Iowa last year at home and how loud Assembly Hall gets that it almost shakes, I would hope they play with some noise
yeah.
if they're, scouting properly. But yeah. Is there any other hot topics we have for the day, guys?
I think that's about it for me.
I'm excited to watch a lot of college, both women's and men's, during Thanksgiving. There's always all those super fun tournaments to
Yes.
watch and a bunch of close games and a bunch of talented teams playing each other.
Yeah, I think it's super fun that it's both the men's and women's team in the Bahamas.
Mhm.
I know they don't exactly overlap at the same times, but it's still fun that they both get to be there. play some basketball over the break, but also get some downtime also before the season really gets going with conference
And
play.
finals, too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Exactly. They're student athletes
Yeah.
and they still have to take finals, sadly enough.
Student comes before the athlete, so I bet going to the Bahamas during that Thanksgiving break will be very nice, in addition to
Yeah.
doing their basketball duties.
Thanksgiving, a nice Bahamas trip, some sun, some
Oh, yeah.
basketball. That sounds like a great trip to me.
Mhm.
Turkey stuffing, and then some sunscreen and sunglasses. Perfect.
You know what? This is a little off topic, but we'll give you one more question, or I'll give you one more question. Favorite Thanksgiving food, and then we'll wrap. Okay, go.
I'm ready. It's my mom's mac and cheese. It's, I think, my grandma's recipe. It is so delicious. I always look forward to it, and I just can't wait to eat all the food because it's always so delicious.
I'm like one of those people where like I like Thanksgiving food, but I only like it on Thanksgiving. Like I don't like all year round now. But my mom makes a really good sweet potato pie with like the marshmallow on the top and like burnt like like makes it like
Yes.
a crisp. Oh, it's so good. I like never would really eat sweet potatoes, but sweet potato pie, my mom's,
It's always
fabulous.
better when it comes from the soul. You know what I'm
Obviously.
saying?
Oh, of course. What's yours, Ari?
Might be something that people might not like, but I actually love a good green bean casserole with the crunchies on top.
No, that's- it's so good.
I love those
that sounds great.
crunchies.
So yummy.
And stuffing can't go
Stuffing.
wrong. And then a good turkey can't go wrong.
I'm not the biggest turkey fan. Like, I like some, but I'm not going to be like, that's not going to be the main thing on my plate.
You're a ham family or a turkey family?
No, I'll eat some, but I'm not going to be like, give me the leg.
What do you think Sydney Parrish's is? That's how we'll leave this. Sydney Parrish, what do you think your favorite? We don't have to answer that. I was just saying.
I feel like I could see her as like a mac and cheese girl.
Yeah.
Kind of like.
She gives me pasta lover vibes. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that with like some, like extra cheese,
Yeah.
unless she's lactose
What about you, Ari? What do you
intolerant.
think?
You know what? I'm gonna ride the wave of mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Sydney
Unanimous.
Parrish
Yeah.
loves mac and cheese.
And hopefully
bet she
Sydney's
does.
not lactose intolerant
Oh.
or anything like that.
Hopefully not.
But mac and cheese is great.
All right. Lovely discussion. Well, we will not be on air next week because it is Thanksgiving break. That's why we're talking about this lovely food in this discussion. But thank you so much for joining us for the Fastbreak Podcast. We will resume right after Thanksgiving break, so make sure to stay tuned with us, and we'll catch you next time. Saying goodbye from the IU Women's Basketball Beat for the Hoosier Network. I'm Ari Betterly.
Sam Elster.
And I'm Ryan Costello.
See you guys next time.